Welcome back, y'all, to the Pitre podcast. God, I'm looking horrendous right now, but it is what it is. We are recording on MLK Day, man. Sorry for not recording last week. Work and shit was a little bit crazy, unfortunately, so couldn't record then. But yeah, I wanted to talk about, I know in the last episode I talked about OnlyFans, how it was doing irreparable damage in the standpoint of like the American culture. And I want to talk about something that's doing an equal amount of irreparable damage to American society, which is online gambling, man. So I came after the women when it came to OnlyFans. I gotta come after the dudes when it comes to online gambling, man. Because it's primarily dudes who are doing all the online gambling. Let's really be real here. Women are not out here hitting parlays or putting in parlays, right? Some do, don't get me wrong, but most are not. So I gotta come after the guys here when it comes to online gambling, man. So I just want to go into like what is online gambling, when was it passed, when was it legalized, because it was illegal for forever, basically. Some of the damage that it's currently doing society, and just like my overall thoughts on online gambling as a whole. So, all right. So there's a couple of laws that governs online gambling within the U.S., right? And when was it passed? So the federal law historically associated with online gambling restrictions is the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act of 2006. Shout out to '06, man. My prime there. I was like, 11 years old? So it was passed on October 13, 2006. So what's the effect, right? It prohibits financial institutions from knowingly processing payments linked to unlawful internet gambling, effectively curtailing many overseas operations taking U.S. bets, right? So it's just putting a halt to all U.S. gambling, all U.S. gambling when it comes to online. So in 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federal ban on sports gambling, right? So allowing states to legalize sports betting online. So it was state by state laws, right? I think the first state was Illinois. So they banned it from a federal level, and now it's on a state level. The state can, determine if they want to allow online gambling or not. And that's usually how it goes, right? You might be in a state and you try to go into like DraftKings or whatever the other sports betting apps are, and might say like restricted in your state or wherever the case may be. So how many people are using these online gaming platforms, right? So general usage, about 10% of U.S. adults report placing an online sports bet in the past year. Me personally, I have not. I don't do any sports betting. I have in the past, very briefly, but I'm just not a gambler as a whole, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So 22% of Americans, including nearly 48% of men of age 18 to 49, have an active online sports betting account. So half of the dudes in America have a active online sports betting account, which is fucking wild. Online betting accounts by demographic, right? So men are more likely than women to use sports betting online platforms. Of course, that's like a given. So survey shows that within online gambling populations, more men gamble than women, though female participation, especially in sports betting apps, is quickly growing. So the women demographic is growing, but it's primarily men who are doing this. So nearly half of men age 18 to 49 have an online sports betting account versus lower rates of women in national samples. So several research found women's sign-up growth rising fast. So 4.6 million women have joined sports betting apps in 2021, though men still outnumber women 2.5 to 1, right? So men are still dominating women by almost 3 times. But the fact that 4.6 million women signed up for a sports betting app is actually fucking insane. Okay, so see some of the most popular ones, right? So we have FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, which is a casino in Las Vegas, Kalshi, which allows you to bet on anything, literally anything. And that's the... All right, I'm going to wait until I really I'm going to go over like the general numbers and get into like my personal thoughts here. So revenue, how much money is being generated and or lost by the American people when it comes to sports betting, right? So online gambling generated roughly 12 to 13 billion dollars last year, which is insane. So yeah, online sports betting revenue hit $3.7 billion in 2024. I don't think we have the numbers for 2025, but it's only going up. So legal versus illegal. So in 2025, report found that illegal / offshore operators dominated the overall U.S. online gambling markets, with around 74% of total gross gaming revenue, just leaving 26% to illegal operators. So most of it's being done illegally, which is kind of insane because we have it legal from the U.S. already. Like, why do we have to go offshore to place our bets, and we can just do it in America where, it's already legal? Well, for a lot of states, it's already legal. So revenue per user / losses, right? So unfortunately, you can't find a single figure that can show the revenue per user per like what they're losing. We only have like general estimates, right? So the average revenue per online gambler often cited in the low hundreds per user per year. So we're looking at a range of like $300 to $400. So when you go into consumer losses, that varies widely, of course, state by state and user behavior. For example, some states' reports show very high per capita losses where online gambling is legal. No single nationwide per user loss, unfortunately. They're losing money. Like, let's really be real here. Most people who gamble lose money. That's just how it goes. So how are people gambling online, right? It's mostly through mobile apps when it comes to America. When you have fucking everything in the palm of your hand and your phone, you're going to be able to gamble on your phone as well. And not only that, there's so many states that are legalizing it. It's so integrated into mainstream sports, which is crazy. And the promotions and betting and sports betting advertisements are insane, right? I remember there was one year where it was a Super Bowl. I forgot which year. And literally everything was everything was sports betting apps, crypto. Yeah, and that was it. Like sports betting apps and crypto. It was every single commercial. It was so fucking tiring and annoying, right? So, yeah, man. Like, there's so many advertising when it comes to sports betting apps nowadays is insane. When you listen to any podcast in America now, like their biggest sponsors usually sports betting apps, whether it be FanDuel or DraftKings. Like any single podcaster, when they have a freaking sponsorship, it's going to be a sports betting app, like 9 times out of 10. When you're on YouTube or you're watching a commercial, or when you're on a streaming app that now has fucking ads, I got to pay for a streaming app and they're going to give me ads. This shit is insane. Might as well just watch TV. So if you're watching one of those platforms, like an ad or commercial comes up, like it's most likely going to be a sports betting app. When you're watching a sport, they have breaks for like sports betting apps and shit, or most of the commercials for watching that sport is going to be sports betting related, which is like counterintuitive because when you're watching a sport, right? People cheat, people can do point shaving, people can manipulate the game or the system so that they can get a larger payout, right? And that's what happens when you integrate sports betting into sports as a whole, right? So these players, or referees, or whatever the case may be, and there's been multiple accounts across all sports of people cheating like this, have cheated to try to get a big payout on the bet. And now that we legalize sports betting, it's just going to make it that much easier for people to do so. Okay, so that's everything as far as like demographics goes for the most part. We do have a little bit more. So 30 states offer it, which is insane, including DC. Tax rates vary widely. So what's the tax rate versus the revenue? So 6.7% in states like Nevada and Iowa to 51% in New York, New Hampshire, Oregon, Rhode Island, etc. So I'm reading through some of the revenue reports, right? Online sports betting. So where is online sports betting biggest? So New York. Shout out to New York. for 248 million, right? Illinois, which is actually pretty shocking, 147 million. New Jersey, 122 million, right? Okay. So we have online casino iGaming, right? So it's not just sports betting nowadays. You can gamble online. Like the casino games. I mean, like when you go to a casino, like the slots and all that shit, they have electronic versions of that online that you can gamble on now, which I would not trust for my life. Like if you think, I wouldn't even trust the games in the casino because a lot of those are rigged, like that. There's studies and people have found that, they basically are going to take your money, and every so often they'll give you a payout to entice people to continue using the machines in hopes of getting that payout. But like a lot of those machines and shit are like pretty fucking rigged. And that's, a actual fucking machine that you can hold and stuff. You think I'm going to trust a fucking gambling mobile app? Like, no, you can 100% skew it to your favor. I'm just throwing away my money at that point. So the top iGambling states are Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Michigan. And yeah, that's basically about it for the most part when it comes to like numbers and that kind of stuff, right? So let's get into my personal thoughts on gambling. I'm not a big gambler, man. I'm not a big gambler whatsoever. I did do a little bit of gambling when I was doing the MMA podcast, right? So I would, because naturally, I think MMA was like the first real sport where gambling was really big in, I think it's MMA and NFL, and I was gonna say NFL and football. Those are the two biggest sports as far as like American gambling, to be honest with you, when it comes to sports betting. So I did do a little when I was doing the MMA channel. And listen, I think I came out literally even, right? Over the course of like a year of gambling, I think I literally came out even as far as losses and wins goes. I think I lost a little bit. When I mean a little bit, I mean like less than $100, right? So I probably gambled at most like $2,000 over the course of that year, and I had lost like $100. So I lost money. I lost like $100. So why am I going to continue gambling if I'm out here hemorrhaging money? It just doesn't make sense. I don't get the thrill of gambling, to be honest with you. Some people get that thrill and get that adrenaline rush, which is like a primary reason how people get addicted to it, right? They get addicted to the possibility of winning. And I don't feel that way whatsoever. If I'm betting on something, I actually didn't like watching fights that I was betting on. Because I noticed when I betted on a fight, one, I would have to be, I'll have to be like not be partial when it comes to like reviewing the tape or reviewing the fights, right? So I would make sure that I'm not rooting for one fighter or the other. I'm just viewing the fights for what it was, right? I'm just watching a fight to analyze it, to talk about it afterwards. But when I'm actually betting on a fight, I realize that I was obviously hoping for the fighter that I betted money on to win, right? Which I didn't like the feel of that. Of course, like I'm gonna have like natural biases in a way if like really like a fighter versus if I don't like one fighter or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. I just felt like I was cheating, my craft in a way when I was hoping for one fighter to beat another fighter because I had money on that fight, right? And I don't like that feeling either. That anticipation of like, fuck, is it gonna hit? Is it gonna hit? Like, is this fighter gonna win? Is it gonna win the way I want it to? Like, I don't like that whatsoever. I just want to watch the fight to enjoy the fight. I don't want to have to watch the fight to hope that my fighter wins. But not only that, man, when it comes to MMA is so unpredictable. It's one of the most unpredictable sports out there, man. Like, dude, a fight can end in an instant. In an injury, a fucking freak accident injury, a fucking punch can be thrown, can just knock. The fighter could be winning an entire fight, but gets fucking clocked once in the third round, and in the third, the fight's over. They can fucking get in a submission. Like, there's so many ways to end an MMA fight, man. There's even on these betting apps, you can bet in a way in how the fight would end. And I'm like, dude, now you're really, really pushing it because MMA is extremely unpredictable. It's not like the other sports. So you're definitely going to be hemorrhaging money in that regard. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it whatsoever, man. I just don't like the feeling of gambling. And it's funny because I think I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I think my maternal grandfather died because of gambling or gambling related debts, right? So maybe it's just like my genome saying, yeah, stay the fuck away from this. Like that killed off one of the ancestors, so probably this shouldn't be a trend or ancestral chain. So thankfully I'm just not into gambling whatsoever. I honestly think it's a waste of money, and most people are losing at the end of the day, man. Do not be fooled. I have friends who sports gamble. I know people who sports gamble. They all think they're winning. Every single one of them are like, I'm winning. I win money. I don't lose money. Like, there's no way you're statistically all winning. If all of you were winning, these companies will go out of business. These companies are making the record amount of profits that they're making year after year because you guys are losing money. You guys are hemorrhaging money. Of course, there's outliers, but I heard cases where when there actually is an outlier who wins disproportionately then loses, they ban them from the platform. So it's like, yo, there's no way you guys are winning. You're probably getting some small wins here and there, but like it's not enough to fucking gamble the hard-earned money away, man. And especially in this economy, dude. Like, yo, fucking things are beyond expensive. I don't have to really go inside. We all feel it. The average American feels it. Not even the above average American feels it. We all feel it. So why are you throwing away that hard-earned money for a fucking game or a sports bet that you most of the time are losing anyway? It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like when people go to gambling, it's because they kind of feel hopeless in a way, right? And here's the thing. If you want to throw like $10, $20 on a game here and there, like go ahead, like who am I to tell you not to, right? But if you're doing it every single game or you're betting a substantial amount of money, bro, you're not going to win, man. You're statistically not going to win. You might win once out of like fucking 7 to 10 tries. But it's like, dude, you're just hemorrhaging money at that point. You're chasing a what if at the end of the day. And it's just honestly not worth it. If you want to do it like super recreationally, like smoking a cig after having a drink, something that you're doing rarely, go ahead. Like it's not that big of a deal. But if you're fucking gambling away your paychecks, your work paychecks, like dude, you have to reevaluate what you're doing, man, because it's clearly not healthy for you and you might have a full-blown addiction. Right? And men are just more prone to sports gambling addictions than women are. I just don't know what it is, right? Or just gambling in general. Just don't know what it is, man. So the fact that we're having so much access to gambling in America is not a good thing. I think we really need to dial it back. I think there needs to be systems in place where if we notice that a user is just hemorrhaging money and just losing so much money and they're just like clearly terrible at sports betting, that their account should be revoked, right? And it should be revoked across all platforms to make sure this person is not fucking continuously hemorrhaging money. Now, of course, the sports betting mats are not going to want that because they want people to continuously lose money and fucking ruin their lives because that's how they're going to get paid. It's a vicious fucking cycle, man. It's a vicious way to make money. And there's a reason why it's been illegal for countless years, right? There's a reason why if anyone wanted to really gamble, they would have to go to Las Vegas to do so. That was always a thing growing up. If you really wanted to gamble, you got to go to Vegas. Now we have Vegas in the palm of our hands. That's a bar. I'm not going to lie. That's a bar. Now we have Vegas in the palm of our hands in our smartphones, and we can fucking gamble away everything. Sports betting, iGamble, you name it. We're able to do it now, right? Across 30 of the 50 U.S. states. So it's like, it's not good for society, man. It's definitely not good for men because men are the ones who are the most prone to this. So I feel like if you are really big into sports gambling, look at your wins and losses over the past couple of years. And from there, add everything up and determine, okay, over the past 5 years, I've lost $3,000. I'm at a loss of $3,000. So $3,000 I can have in my account right now. Like, especially if it's over a long period of time, like that's going to show you a trend. That's going to show you the numbers. That's going to show you, hey, you're not good at this at the end of the day, And listen, not being good at gambling, I would say is okay because most people are not good at gambling. Most people suck at gambling. That's like the general masses, right? There's a few outliers when it comes to gambling, but like, do you really want to be good at gambling either? Like, is that something that you really want to hang your hat on? But most people are bad at it, which is okay, right? And at the end of the day, man, you really have to realize that, dude, this shit is not rigged in your favor. Like, it's purposely rigged against you in a lot of ways, So it's a waste, man. I'm going to be entirely honest with you. It's a waste. I haven't sports bet in like God knows how long, at least 3-4 years, man. I can tell you the very last time I sports bet, because it was a really dumb fucking bet, and I learned my lesson from it, right? So I told you that I'd probably fucking betted like $2,000 at most, and my loss was like $100, right? So my loss would have been, I only would have gambled $1,000, and I probably would have broke even, right? So I remember at the time while I was doing an MMA podcast, I was dating this Brazilian girl, right? She did Muay Thai. And I think she just got married not too long ago. So shout out to her, right? Happy for her. So I was dating this Brazilian girl, and she obviously liked MMA too, so we'd watch it together, right? We'll have drinks, we'll watch together. It was like a weekend routine, right? What a time to be alive. So as we're watching it, I forgot who were the fighters. It's been so fucking long. It was two women fighters, right? And I was for certain that one of the women fighters was going to win. Her resume was just better. Her level of competition was better. They had similar styles at fighting, but one was just far better than the other, right? So I'm like, yo, this girl's clearly going to win. Like, this is a mix. Like, and there's times where, especially in MMA, it could be a mixed match, you know? There can be a matchup that just doesn't make sense on paper, right? So I'm like, yo, this chick is going to win. And I was already like 2-3 drinks deep. And these are strong drinks, man. I was probably double shotting them drinks, son. So I was tipsy. I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm bet $1,000 on this chick to win. And even Shorty was like, yo, you're bugging. Granted, she didn't say, yo, you're bugging, if she was Brazilian, but she said like her variation of like, yo, you're bugging. So I fucking bet money anyway. And I fucking lost. And the girl who I was going for was winning the fight for 2 rounds. Then all of a sudden just got knocked the fuck out. Because that's MMA for you. It could just happen on a whim, man. It could just happen whenever. So I lost a rack. Now, I was fine, money wise, I was good. Like, I didn't really need that 1,000. That 1,000 did not affect me whatsoever. But I remember just sitting there like, yo, I just wasted $1,000. Like, I was only gonna make like $200-$300 anyway. So it's like, it's not like I'm tripling or fucking quadrupling my profits. Like, I'm only making like fucking 1/5 or 1/4 of what I actually put in. So it's like, yo, I did all that to possibly win $200-$300, and I just lost fucking $1,000. Like, this is dumb. Like, I'm never doing this again, and I never did it again. I never will do it again. I have no like reason to do it, to be honest with you. I don't feel the need to do it, even when I did do it, I didn't have that addiction where I just needed to keep going, thank God. And listen, I have other vices, like fucking, excuse me, I'm definitely addicted to sugar, for sure. Like, I am straight up addicted to sugar. I have a really bad sweet tooth, and something that I really want to work on as I get older, especially if I'm going to my fucking 30s this year. Fuck me. Anyway, but like, that's something I want to work on moving forward, right? So I know where my addictions lie. Thankfully, gambling is not that addiction. So, dude, and especially nowadays, man, where we can bet on anything, like, that's why I wanted to lean into, like, Kalshi, man, that allows you to fucking bet on literally anything. You can bet if Taylor Swift will get pregnant by the end of this year. Why are we allowing this? Like, what are we doing, bro? I know I say that every episode in regards to, like, American society and culture and, like, how this fucking country is turning out. But, like, yo, what are we doing? Like, who allowed this? This is fucking dumb. We shouldn't allow people to make these stupid sports bets on, or just bets in general on, like, if Taylor Swift is going to get pregnant by the end of the year. Or if, the tariffs are going to last until blank. Or people were betting on the government shutdown to last like 2 months or 3 months, etc. It's like, what are we doing, dude? Like, you guys are hemorrhaging money here. At least from a sports betting standpoint, if you watch a lot of sports, or you watch that sport in particular really well, you can have like a general understanding of how possibly things can play out, right? So you're informed to a degree. Knowing if Taylor Swift is going to get pregnant by the end of the year, unless you're inside and like one of her friends or one of her family members and you know that they're trying or whatever the case may be, you have no information to go off of. You're just making bets at this point with no info. Like, you're just fucking throwing away money and hoping that it was, throwing mud against the wall and literally hoping that it would stick. Like, what are we... It doesn't make any sense, man. Like, please stay away from those stupid platforms. Like, as much as possible. If you're a guy, especially if you're a young guy, man. If you're an old guy, if you're fucking an unk like me, do what you want, bro. Like, we're both fucking 30. Who am I to tell you what you can and can't do? If you're 18, though, or you're in your early 20s, dude, Do not waste your money on that shit, man. It's better just to have your money sitting in a fucking savings account that's going to give you interest on that money than to just waste it, right? Or what you can do is you can have like a high yield savings account where it gives you interest on your savings, and you can take that interest and gamble that interest. So at least your money is fine. At least your actual money you put into the savings is fine. You're just gambling the interest. Granted, you're still technically losing money because that is interest. That is still your money, but at least you're not touching the capital. You're just touching like the principal. So you can do that at least, you know? But dude, just stay away from fucking gambling, man. It's really not worth it. It's not worth it, dude. Truly. You're not going to make money. You're really not. And of course, there's probably going to be one of you listening to this podcast like, yo, I actually make money. So what the fuck is you talking about, you know? And I respect it, I respect it, big bro. But it's like, yo, it's for most of you, you're losing money. So it's not worth it, man, at the end of the day. That's all I'm going to say. But that's this episode of the Pitre Podcast. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys stop gambling. And I will catch you all next week. Bye, guys.